Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and delete my debug here because we only needed that to sort of learn how to use getChild. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to set my rotation speed equal to 150. And remember, these are our tank properties. Tank properties. Make sure that we identify those because we might forget later. And then we want to create a couple of function calls in update so that they're always calling these every frame. So we want to call weapon update. Let's do update weapon. That might make better sense. And then update control. Alright, so let's take a look at starting with this guy first. So what this update weapon does is it's used to control the fire rate of our weapon. Okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and type update weapon. And we want to do a void for this because we're not returning a value. And so there's a couple things that we need to say. Okay, well, we don't want like a consistent rate of fire, so we want to wait a few seconds before our actual wait a few seconds before we can fire again. Okay, so let's look at how we can create a very simple timer. So let's create a couple variables or properties that control the shoot rate and time. So I'm going to make a protected variable. Now, by marking a variable protected, we can access it in any class that derives from this. So you know how we would write the class name period and then we'd be able to access it? Protected allows us to do that. But without this protected keyword, say we made it private, private would only allow us to access it within a specific section. So let's make a private float, and we're going to call this elapsed time. And I'm just going to leave that blank. And then I'm going to make another protected variable, float. And I'm going to make that equal to shoot rate. Make that equal to 0.5. Again, these can all be changed. Alright, let's scroll down and use these. Let's take a look at using elapsed time first. Okay. So we have to check first if we're actually firing anything. Now we know in the past that we can do that with an if statement. So I'm going to say code to shoot. Okay. So if input dot get, we want to do mouse button down 0, which indicates the left mouse button. Let's drag this inside of here. We're going to check that elapsed time. Come on, move. Just cut and paste it. We're going to say, okay, if I press the left mouse button, let's see what the elapsed time is based on the current time of the computer. So this is actually a very, very simple math. So what we can say is, where's that elapsed time? Okay. Make sure we spell that right. Elapsed time equals elapsed time plus, remember elapsed time starts at 0, time dot delta time. Now I can't stress enough what the shorthand notation is for this, just so you guys can see it. It's elapsed time plus equals delta time. So elapsed time, you can just imagine that it's like this, equals elapsed time plus time to. So if you typed it out like this, it would have the exact same meaning. I just write it out like this so you guys can. It's just a lot clearer for you guys. All right. So right now, elapsed time, because remember this updates every time this is called every frame. So it's always checking. Has the elapsed time, which is 0. It's constantly updating. So we're going to check elapsed time against another variable. So the way we do that is with an if statement. So now remember we have nested ifs here. So this has to be true. So we have to press this left mouse button down first. And once we do that, then we can access what's in the inside. So we're going to say if elapsed time is greater than or equal to shoot rate, we're going to do something. And what we're going to do is instantiate our bullet. So let's mark this really quick. This is where we actually shoot our bullet or spawn our bullet. Now, if we don't reset elapsed time back to 0 here, it's just going to continuously shoot. You know, because it's always going to be greater than. So we just have to set this back to 0.0f. Okay, so let's take a look at the code. We've seen this before. We've actually done this in our shooting game where we shot the boxes and stuff like that. So believe it or not, the code that we have so far really isn't that different. So let's go ahead and do this instantiate function. Okay, now remember, instantiate takes 3 parameters. It takes whatever you're trying to shoot, whatever the current position is, and whatever the rotation is. So again, we'll take it easy. We'll say, okay, we know we have a game object that's a bullet. That's what we want to spawn. So I'm going to copy that. As you probably already guessed, we created this bullet spawn point, which is storing the current position or reference to that empty game object. So I'm going to copy that, paste it here, and paste it here. Remember what I said. We want the current position, and we want the current rotation. Alright, I'm going to hit Control S to save this. Right. See if I can get all the code so that you guys can see it a little bit better. You might have to, if you have errors, you might have to backtrack through this, or I'll see if I can copy and paste this code on the site. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here. In the next one, we'll take a look at how we're going to control our tank.